Hey everybody, it is Gordon Majak here, back with another episode of Timeless Pop, Rock, and Soul. And today on the big show, we are going to delve deeper into one of the great mysteries of the universe. I kid you not. And what would that be? You're wondering? Some profound spiritual or religious, historical mystery? What am I talking about? No, I am talking about the mystery of the one-hit wonder. And the mystery is this: how can artists, and of course there are millions of examples of one-hit wonders throughout pop music history, the mystery is, how can these artists who are so obviously capable of crafting one perfect song not ever do it again? One perfect song. They did it. They climbed the mountain one time. And for whatever reason, and I suppose there are as many different reasons as there are different artists that fall into this category of one-hit wonders, for whatever reason, it's just one of those great mysteries of the musical universe, if not the human universe, that we may never fully understand. But today we're going to jump into one that, man, rocked my world all the way back there in 1976. I guess it wasn't just my world, right? Because this was a big hit. Let's go back to the spring of 1976. I was 17 years old, about to turn 18. Let's just call it 18 that summer by the time this song was making a big splash. Here is our album. It is a band called Starbuck, of all things. An album and a hit single and a one-hit wonder called Moonlight Feels Right. And boy, it sure does feel right. Now, Starbuck is actually the brainchild of one individual, and that is the songwriter and producer and lead vocalist and keyboardist of the band Starbuck. And that would be this gentleman right here. This is Bruce Blackman. What we got going on there? That is Bruce Blackman of Atlanta, Georgia. Starbuck was an Atlanta band back there in the 70s, a local Atlanta band. There's Bruce Blackman. He is basically, for all intents and purposes, the father of Starbuck. And this is his musical partner over here. This is a gentleman named Bo Wagner. And you may say, Bo Wagner, what's he doing there wearing that fine-ass leather suit? Well, I will explain that in a minute. Now, Moonlight Feels Right. Man, that was one of those songs back there in the spring of summer and 1976 that when that thing came on the radio, that was an instant reach for the volume knob and turn it way up. What a song. Starbuck got this one all the way up to number 3 on the pop chart, number 2 on the adult contemporary chart there. For Bruce Blackman and Starbuck in the summer of 1976. And I'll tell you, folks, musically, this is just such an interesting track, beyond the fact of the one-hit wonder and how could they do something so perfect this time and never repeat that formula? Or if it wasn't a formula, how could they just never repeat something so magical? But musically, for Moonlight Feels Right, here's what you got. You got the drums and the bass laying down very straight, very clean, very nice clean groove there, just sort of staying out of the way of the rest of the instruments, just keeping it very tight and very clean and very smooth in the back line there on the bass and drums. You have a rhythm guitar part here that with a very soft wah pedal effect on certain parts of the hooks. That sort of acts as another musical hook. But again, that rhythm guitar stays out of the way. And that is probably because Bruce Blackman, being a keyboardist in the band there, it's his keyboards and his synthesizers that take most of the lead and or melodic roles throughout the song. Now, the other great thing about this song that you will notice is parked right in the middle of this fine song is a solo, unlike any other solo that you will ever hear on a pop or rock or even a soul record. It is one of a kind. I'll stop the record before we get to it to warn you because it's coming up. But I think musically we can say that apart from the song itself being a big hit back there in 76 and a one-hit wonder, admittedly, I think we can say that musically one of the great accomplishments of this song was getting a marimba solo. That's right, a marimba solo. Front and center on a smash top 40 hit record. And only in the 70s could something like that have happened. You add all that up together, all those beautiful parts there in the band, and of course you put Bruce Blackman on the lead vocals singing the lyric that he wrote. He's got a very clever and kind of coy way of delivering that lead vocal that just suits this song perfectly. And I think I saw someone reference to this song that they thought it almost sounded like sort of a smoothed out, lightened up Steely Dan kind of track. And I guess that's true. It almost does have there's a certain sophistication to this vibe. I haven't looked at the sheet music to see how it looks in terms of the composition itself. But there is definitely a certain smoothed out sort of vibe on this song that there in the mid-70s, 1976. I'm not going to say it sounds like it came off the Asia album because that would be a little ridiculous, but there is just a little tiny bit of that polish and that sophistication here on Starbuck that you might have heard back there in the 70s on a Steely Dan record. Although it's a little hard to imagine Donald Fagen and Walter Becker ever writing a song like Moonlight Feels Right, but hey, right, to each his own. So let's do it. Let's take a little time travel journey back there to the summer of 1976 when I was just 18 years old and driving around in my first car, and this song came on the radio. Man, it was time to crank it up. From 1976, I'll just say right now, I think this was probably the feel-good hit of the summer. No exaggeration. It is Starbuck. Moonlight Feels Right. You better believe it does, man. Come on. Take me back to the summer of 1976. Okay, I'm going to pause it right here before we get to this solo in the middle, folks. I warned you. Now, listen, you are listening to musical history right here, okay? And I told you about this gentleman right here, Bo Wagner. Bo Wagner is about to fulfill his mission in life. These guys were a one-hit wonder. But don't ever estimate the incredible musical talent that may be hiding in some of these one-hit wonder bands. Because Bo Wagner, when they cut this album, went into the studio and did this solo on the marimba, which is mind-blowing. He did this solo an exact amount of one time. One time. This was one take, folks. He walked in and he cut it, and that was it. Listen to this brother play the marimba.
Feels right. See the sun come up on Sunday morning and watch it fade the moon away. I guess you know I'm giving you a warning, 'cause me and Moon are itching to play. I'll take you on a trip beside the ocean and drop the top of Chesapeake Bay. Ain't nothing like the sky that does a potion. The moon will send you on your way. Moonlight feels right. Moonlight feels right. Moonlight feels right.
I said we were going to explore one of the mysteries of the universe, and I was really only half joking. How is it? How can you explain the fact that these guys could write and arrange and produce this one song so flawlessly? This record is absolutely flawless from top to bottom, and they did it one time. How is it possible that, considering all of the talent it took to do this one time, how in the world were they not able to do it two times? We will never know. We will never know from Starbuck, and we will never know, I guess, from so many other one-hit wonders. But there it is, Bruce Blackman. He's sort of the main guy there in Starbuck. I mean, it's really his creation, his band. He's writing the songs, he's singing the songs, he's producing the album. That's him on a number of tasty keyboards, some pretty cool keyboard licks in this song on a number of keyboards. But let's talk about the real deal, man. Let's talk about Bo Wagner, a percussionist, a drummer by trade, going in there in the studio and laying down a marimba solo that, I don't care what instrument it is, if you take that solo that he played and you transcribe that musically and you give that to any other instrument in the band to play that, I don't care if it's a piano or some other keyboard instrument or a guitarist or anybody that wants to try to take a stab at that solo, I'm sorry, man, that is one super complex, incredibly melodic, incredibly harmonic. There is so much stuff going on in that short span of that solo. And that brother just created a little interlude for the absolute ages there. The great, and I cannot emphasize that enough, the great Bo Wagner absolutely stepping it up and crushing that solo on the marimba. And there it is, preserved on tape for all time, for all of us who love us some timeless pop, rock, and soul. And this one is about as timeless as it gets, man. Summer of '76, I was graduating from high school. I had my first car. I was turning 18. Oh, yeah. And you hear this one on the radio, crank that dial. Are you kidding me? And then they never did it again. They never did it again. Just unbelievable. Starbuck, man, what a big hit that was. Moonlight feels right. It certainly did back in '76, and it still feels right. How can you get just musicianship, it's just hilarious to me. It's so bizarre how just the overall level of talent, I guess what you might say is the average level of talent, of musicianship, of groups who were just on the scene back then, coming out of nowhere, like Starbuck, like Bruce Blackman and Bo Wagner and Starbuck, coming out of Atlanta, Georgia there, a local band in Atlanta. They get a record deal. This is their first hit song, and they lasted only a few years, released a few other songs, nothing really stuck, and sort of sad. But then again, man, they created a legend in once, all at once, a legendary song that will never get old. It doesn't sound like to me. After all these years, that one still sounds fantastic. Makes you just want to run out in the car and crank it up again, doesn't it? And drive around a little bit, man. What a great summertime song. Moonlight feels right. Bruce Blackman and Starbuck 1976. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be coming back with a little bit heavier number for the next one, just slightly heavier, but no less timeless, because that's the secret to the whole thing here, folks. Have yourselves a good Friday night. You may see me later. You never know. I may be back to slip in a little. Oh, I almost told you who it was. Nope, not going to tell you. See you then. Bye-bye. Beep. Moonlight. Diddle-diddle-doo, diddle-diddle-doo. Feels right. Diddle-diddle-doo, diddle-diddle-doo.